Okay, so people just got to talk to you, and now that you moved to Chicago, what have you
Yeah.
noticed?
Well, I was saying earlier that I remember right before leaving that there was a guy, I think it was Green Lake, and he had a sign that just said, I will listen. And he said he was amazed at how many people would just come up and start talking. And I remember
You
being,
you don't even need a sign.
yeah, I remember being involved with this organization, and it was called Shanti, and it no longer is in existence. But one of the things that it was is that believe that people have the answers to their problems. The only thing is that sometimes they just need to hear themselves talk it out so
Amen.
that they can come to some clarity. And one of the things that I've just really noticed, and I've always felt in life, that even when people are talking, they're not so much communicating because they're waiting for the other person to shut up so that they can say what they have to say.
I was
And
what are you going to shut up at any point during this thing? Go
yeah.
ahead.
So,
Anyway, yeah,
so,
yeah.
and so I realized, I don't know, at an early point in my life that, there are two gifts that you can give someone. The greatest gift, I believe, is your time, because you can give money and get that back. You can get sick and get that back. But, time, once that's gone, it's gone. And then, the other part of that is just really being available and just allowing people to just be in your presence, whether they want to talk, whether they just want to sit in quiet, rather than to try to make something happen, which I spent a lot of my life, which led to a lot of drinking, trying to make something happen. I realized and learned along the way that life just happens, and if you can allow it to unfold and just be in that moment and be with it, that it's okay. And if God has given each of us, my understanding, you believe what you want, but I believe God has given each of us a free will, and I don't see, as much as people talk about the old man in the sky with a whip and wanting to send you to hell, I don't see him coming down forcing people to do what he wants them to do. So if God has given each of us a free will to act and to behave any way we want, I believe that, I have the same ability and gift to allow people to just be and to be a safe place for them. And it's just really something. I mean, it's like that in Chicago. I mean, I go to meetings and because I'm involved in recovery, and it's just been really a godsend to just see people opening up and just being in my presence. That's just a beautiful thing to allow people to unfold and to blossom in front of you.
I am very confident that this happened during that weekend that you were there. That very first, you came more than once, right?
Yeah.
So the first one you came to, I'm very confident that this young mother, about 35 years old, was telling us that years before, 10 years previously, she had lived with a gay man and they loved each other very much. But, it was purely friendship, nothing romantic. But she loved him very much. And she comes home from work one day and there's police tape everywhere because he's committed suicide. And she was so angry that that he would do that
I
in the
remember
midst of
that.
their friendship and leave no, share nothing prior to that. So she wouldn't even read his suicide note. And so during your weekend, she told all of us that she knew his mother and that she was going to go find that note. And I don't know if you came to the next one we did, but she did. And she said, I found his mother, and she had the note, and we read it, and there wasn't anything blaming in it. And we drank tea, read the note, and cried together. And she said, for the first time in 10 years, I've been able to grieve my friend. And you know what, Roscoe? I created that. I made that possible for her to for that. And but you remember her telling us about that, huh?
Yeah, I remember that. I think it may have been the next one that I came to, because I remember her saying that, and that was a mixture of tears and a smile, and you can see some closure. It's really something people talk about, closure, and
The chance to grieve after 10 years of anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty powerful.
Do you remember any other weekends?
No.
Well, do you remember an 80-year-old woman came up from Portland, and she said that she was going to tell us something that she'd never told anybody in her whole life, and that her mother, when she was 7 years old, her mother was psychotic, and her mother smothered her with a pillow, and then her mother wrapped her up in a sheet and buried her out in the front yard. And her dad came home right then and dug her up and started breathing into her. And she said, you know that being of light they speak of? She said, I saw the being of light, and he told me I'd have to go back. And you can imagine I was not keen on going back. But my daddy breathed life into me, and he stood me on my feet, and he said, now listen, you can never, ever tell anybody about this. This did not happen. If anybody outside the family should ever hear about this, they will put your mother in a horrible place, and we will never see her again. So you've got to just forget that this even happened. And she said, you know what, folks, I did forget it. And then last week I was working with a counselor, and he wanted me to be freed up to express anger, and he wanted me to yell and scream. And so because it was a small office space, he gave me a pillow to put over my face while I was screaming. Jeez. So she said it came back. I remembered my father, and she said, but he's long gone. Mom's long gone. She's 80 years old. So I can now speak to you, this very safe place, about a thing that I have never been able to speak of before. You didn't happen to be there for that, did you?
No, wasn't there.
Too bad, too bad.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Were you there for the lesbian that came all the way up from San Francisco that had wanted to work for the Catholic Church? No? All right.
I remember several lesbians there. I thought the ones were that I remember were from Portland or somewhere in that area.
Well, let's see. I think one other thing I remember about you and me was that my brother Duncan and I had a backpacking trip all planned, and then Duncan backed out on me, and I didn't want to go alone, so I said to Donna, if I called up Roscoe and said, Roscoe, would you like to go camping? How would Roscoe interpret that?
All of these weekends and seminars and interacting with people, and he's still thinking that if he asked me to go camping, that I'm wanting to get in his pants.
Straight guys don't get it. That it would be the same as if some warty, bad-smelling, hairy woman was coming on to you. Is that attractive? No, it's not attractive. Anyway, I called up Roscoe. We had one hell of a good time. We climbed all the way up to the top of, I think it's Commencement Valley or something. And we looked over the edge down into where Goldmeyer Hot Springs is. And we said, ain't no way in hell we're going down that cliff.
Well, the thing is that we were going to be smart, see, because you can drive around to the other side,
yes,
and it's just a flat walk into the hot spring.
Or you could go 12 miles out and around. But
right.
We were going to go straight over.
We were going to go straight up and over the top.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know who came up with that plan.
Well,
hot summer day, so we get up there, and then we look, and from the years before, it had washed off the path going down, so it was just a sheer drop, so there was no way we were going to get down even if we wanted to.
And no way of getting back up.
So we decided to camp on the top of it that night, and it had a lake there. It was really nice.
Now, I caught Giardia from the water. Did you have any trouble? No.
That's why I always tell people, everybody wants to be sanitized, and, I deliberately eat dirty stuff sometime and drink. My system is like a tank. Because
Yeah.
I keep it dirty enough so that stuff like that doesn't affect me.
Well, let's see. I have very good memories of what a faithful hospital visitor you were. In the last couple of years, I've had some bad slams of getting my chest broken open twice, and my aorta grafted, etc. And by God, Roscoe came to visit and was just a damn good friend.
Yeah. Told him to get his butt up out of bed. He's got more life to live and
Yep.
stuff to do.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's pretty down there for a while. And, and I get it because, that's the thing. You get older, things don't work like they used to. And after a while, it gets to wearing on you physically. But after things wear so long, it starts affecting your psyche and your mental and emotional state. And yeah, he was doing all right. He was putting a good face on it, but I knew him and I could tell looking through it that, it was getting to him. So I just had to kind of be there and encourage him.